Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. In this session, I'm going to talk about the poem called Consolation, written by Billy Collins. Billy Collins is an American poet, was born in 1941 in the New York City. Of course, a popular poet in America. He served as the US Poet Laureate from 2001 to 2003. Of course, a popular, a great poet. He has given the poem called Consolation. So let's see the poem. In the first stanza, opens as how agreeable it is not to be touring Italy this summer, wandering her cities and ascending her torrid hill towns. How much better to cruise these local, familiar streets, fully grasping the meaning of every road sign and billboard, and all the sudden hand gestures of my compatriots. So, the first stanza, the speaker opens as with an ironic statement, saying as the most people dream of visiting Italy. The speaker claims that it is pleasant to not to go because actually he wants to overcome from the disappointment since he couldn't visit Italy for the summers. So the word agreeable that sets a humorous and light-hearted tone that implies staying home as its advantages. And the speaker describes the typical Italian vacation, imagining himself wandering through cities and climbing the famous hill towns. But the word torrid that adds a sense of discomfort, hinting at the less glamorous side of travel. And he also says Italy's exotic appeal with the ease of navigating his own neighborhood. The word cruise that suggests relaxation and simplicity, reinforcing his presence for the familiar. Of course, unlike in foreign country where road sign and billboards might be incomprehensible, which we may not understand, the speaker appreciates being in a place where everything makes sense of him, and he takes comfort in not having a struggle with the translation or unfamiliar customs. The speaker says he finds comfort in the familiarity of his compatriots' body language as opposed to struggling to interpret cultural nuances abroad. In the abroad, he has to face lingual barriers which he doesn't have to face at his familiar local. So this is what the first stanza. In the second stanza, let me read the second stanza. There are no abbeys here, no crumbling frescoes or famous domes, and there is no need to memorize a succession of kings or tour the dripping corners of a dungeon. No need to stand around a sarcophagus, see a Napoleon's little bed and elbow, or weave the bones of a saint under glass. The second stanza opens as his local surroundings with the historical and cultural landmarks of Italy. Abbeys, frescoes, and famous domes evoke images of Italy's rich history. So they are Italy's rich history, but his tone suggests that he doesn't miss these things. The speaker continues downplay Italy's appeal, suggesting that visiting historical sites requires effort that he doesn't have to take where he is comfortable now. He humorously portrays travel as mentally exhausting. So he mocks the stereotypical tourist experience of visiting historical sites. The phrase dripping corner of a dungeon that conjures a dark, unpleasant image, of course, diminishing the romanticized view of travel. So the speaker critiques the cliche of seeing historical artifacts or tombs while traveling, standing near sarcophagus. It's a coffin, okay, or a Napoleon belongings is portrayed as tiresome rather than meaningful. So here he'll be relaxed at home. He humorously finds out the oddity of certain tourist attractions like Napoleon's little bed or relics of saints, suggesting they are overrated and possibly even grotesque. In third stanza, let me read the third one. How much better to command the simple precinct of home than be daubed by pillar, arch, basilica? Why hide my head in phrase books, and wrinkled maps. Why feed scenery into a hungry, one-eyed camera, eager to eat the world one monument at a time? So, in this stanza, the speaker once again praises the comfort of home that imply the word command that implies control and mastery, contrasting with the unfamiliarity and uncertainty of travel. In Italy, the grand architecture can make one feel small or insignificant. So the speaker humorously suggests that such overwhelming sights are not worth. Again, he highlights the inconveniences of travel, such as struggling with foreign languages or relying on maps to navigate. This reinforces of his preferences for a stay home. The again the act of taking photos is described as feeding scenery into a hungry one-eyed camera. So the metaphor critiques the superficial nature of travel photography, where the focus is on capturing moments rather than fully experiencing them. The camera's eagerness to eat the world suggests consumerist approach to travel, ticking of monuments like items on a checklist rather than engaging deeply with the experience. People won't give much experience in this. People won't explore. They'll spend most of time on taking photographs. In the fourth stanza, instead of slouching in a cafe ignorant of the word for ice, I will head down to the coffee shop and the waitress known as Dot. I will slide into the flow of the morning paper, all language barriers down, rivers of idiom running freely, eggs over easy on the way. So now the speaker imagines himself struggling to order in foreign cafe, highlighting the awkwardness of not knowing the local language. The image of slouching suggests discomfort or embarrassment. He also cherishes the familiarity of his local coffee shop, where everything is easy and comfortable, and he finds comfort in the personal connection he has with the waitress Dot, and the predictability of his morning routine. The phrase slide into the flow that suggests ease and relaxation. And of course, unlike abroad where language barriers create challenges, here the speaker enjoys effortless communication. This reflects his broader theme of appreciating the simplicity of home. And the speaker celebrates his fluency in his own language and the freedom it provides. The image of eggs over easy that emphasizes the small, comforting pleasure of a routine breakfast. Okay, the next stanza, the fifth stanza. And after breakfast, I will not have to find someone willing to photograph me with my arm around the owner. I will not puzzle over the bill or the record in a journal. What I had to eat, how the sun came in the window. It is enough to climb back into the car. So in this stanza, the speaker, contrasts the ease of being home, the awkwardness of travel. He won't need to ask someone to take picture, a common tourist activity. Okay, and he critiques the stereotypical travel photo, poking fun at the forced interactions tourists often with locals, right? He also appreciates the simplicity of not dealing with the foreign currency and unfamiliar restaurant customs, or the obligation to document experiences in the travel journal. So the speaker dismisses the romanticized idea of documenting every detail of trip, such as food or sunlight, unnecessary and tedious. So he emphasized the ease of staying home, where he can return to his car without effort or fanfare. Here, the car becomes a metaphor for the speaker, comfort with his own language and culture. Traveling in this car is smooth and effortless. The loud vernacular horn symbolizes the speaker's joy and confidence in his native language and familiar surroundings. The poem, ends on humorous note. The speaker embraces his decision to, stay home, content that he will never travel to Italy's famous cities such as Rome or Bologna. So this final line reinforces the theme of finding joy in the ordinary and rejecting the idealized notion of travel. This poem, actually, by poet Billy Collins humorously contrasts the romanticist idea of traveling to Italy with the quiet comforts of staying home. Though irony, vivid imagery, and witty observations, the poem critiques the inconveniences and glitches of tourism while celebrating the ease and familiarity of the daily life. Okay, actually, this poet, every stanza he tries to convince his mind. He consoles himself since he couldn't make up his plan. He couldn't go for the trip Italy for this vacation. He consoles himself. He tries to come out from the disappointment. That's why he has written the poem Consolation. With this, the lecture gets over. Thanks for listening. Subscribe the channel.